a social media conversation for June 11, 2014. I'm Nate Manahan.
And I'm Dustin Hickle.
Today we're going to spend some time talking about the World Cup, a big event, one of the biggest events going on across the world, right down in Brazil. What's happening in social media? We'll talk just a little bit about it as we move forward in the next couple weeks.
It's going to be awesome, so exciting. Soccer, one of the coolest sports out there. I'm not a soccer buff, but I think it's pretty cool. We're going to talk about marketing, the authenticity of marketing, and why marketers are struggling to reinvent themselves.
Well, all that will end up with an infographic a week. But sometimes you just want to, just give me a checklist. Tell me what I want to do. Well, we found a checklist just for you. And you have to watch to the end because you never know what we might do at the end of this show. All this right now on Informe, a social media conversation. Keep watching. Welcome back to another episode of Informe. And if you're not a regular viewer, you're missing out. So go back, watch the other episodes. But I'm Nate.
I'm Dustin.
And we're going to kind of have a little fun. We introduced ourselves in the trailer that we'll record later because that's how we roll here.
Yeah.
But this week, we're going to start out right off. The biggest event, really probably in sporting world.
Oh, yeah.
Not so much for the U.S., which is predominantly our market. In case you're wondering, we're in the U.S. right now. Can't tell with our set. But the World Cup launches tomorrow.
Yeah.
We're recording this on a Wednesday. And ole, 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 ole. Are you a soccer fan?
You know what? I grew up, my little sister played soccer, travel soccer, high school soccer. But I never really got into it. Like myself, it's fun. I'll watch some games, but I'm your standard American, right? Basketball, football, and golf, and But yeah, I think it'll be really interesting and really fun to watch. I think that these are some of the best athletes in the world, and that's why I love to watch soccer, because it's just like, man, these guys are like running for 90 minutes, and I can run for like 5.
And I think what will happen, it's like with any other major sporting event. So when Dale Jr. wins the NASCAR race, I don't watch NASCAR, but I found out about it on, somebody retweeted his tweet. Hey, Dale Jr. won the NASCAR race. When the finals last night, NBA finals was last night. I wasn't watching the first half, but I knew that the Spurs shot 75% or something in the first half because
ridiculous,
I saw World Cup internationally and really in the U.S. is going to drive social media traffic.
Oh, yeah.
And we have 2 articles here, one by The Hollywood Reporter, which I thought was just a little different. We don't usually cover articles from there. And then, of course, Mashable and their guide to covering the World Cup. I think we have to watch. I'm excited to watch this from a social media perspective because we're going to see how the biggest brands and the biggest names across the world are using social media to drive their message home, because they're spending crazy amounts of money on their advertising and sponsorships. And what are they going to do with Facebook, with Twitter, with Instagram, with Pinterest? And how is that going to drive traffic for them? Yeah,
well, I mean, this is something we've talked about in previous shows. Again, so if you're a first-time watcher, this is going to be new, but if you're not, this is something we say all the time. Big brands, there's certain things that big brands specifically have an advantage on, like, Adidas, right?
They're going to buy the promoted trend at some point.
Right, they're going to buy the promoted trend, and this picture on the Hollywood Reporter article, I am not going to try to tell you who this is. It's messy, okay? That's what I thought.
Messy.
He has different hair. Yeah. Different hair in that picture, but he's wearing Adidas plastered right on his shirt, right on his chest.
Yeah.
You can't get better product placement than that.
In Argentina, I actually own that jersey. Not Messi's.
Nice.
Not Messi's particularly, but I have an Argentine jersey. I've been to Argentina before. But yeah, people are going to know that. Adidas is going to pay big money. They're going to have ads. There's apparently a great ad, I haven't watched it yet, with Messi called the World Cup Dream. This is from the Adidas, and it has an exclusive track by Kanye West that was made just for that. They're going to put the big money in, but then they're going to get out on Twitter. Then they're going to get out on Facebook, and we have to watch how they do that, because that's going to help us understand what's really being effective, because they know. They just spent, some of them probably $30, $40, $50 million plus for spots, and they're going to drive social media traffic. And let's watch and dream, and then let's jump in the conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we can learn, as a small, medium-sized business owners out there, we can learn from them, because chances are they're not going to do anything without doing their homework. They know what they're doing. So they have a strategy and a plan in place that is going to probably work. So take some of those notes. Obviously, you're not going to be able to do the same exact thing that the big brands are doing, but take notes and learn from them and glean information and glean how they're driving conversations. Are they just asking questions and getting a response? Or are they actually getting involved in other conversations that other people are having?
Yeah.
Or are they actually just kind of not fostering, that's not the word I'm looking for, but but driving conversation and encouraging everybody else to get involved and other people, hey, check this out, check out, and actually facilitating the conversation is the word I'm looking for. Right. Learn from that and just grab it, because chances are they're doing something that's going to work and that you can use too. And we're going to keep a close eye on it and report on it and everything.
And here's what's I'm planning on watching the U.S. game. They play, I believe it's at 6 p.m. this coming Monday. Mm-hmm. And Mondays are kind of a crazy day for me. I work all day, go right from there to softball practice, and then I go to a Bible study for my church at 7 o'clock those nights. And so I was talking this last Monday, and our plan is to record the game and then jump in as soon as we're done with our Bible study, probably around 9 o'clock that night. And so the game will probably be over by the time we jump in. And so our first thing we had to say was, no social media that night. Why? Because we would know exactly what happened. We can't do it in this day and age. But that dawned in my head. I was like, that's why we need to be in the conversation, because thousands of people are going to be jumping in and saying, did you see what just happened? Mm-hmm. And if we can say that, whether it's on our personal account or our business account, and make sure that we're being relevant to what's happening in the conversation, you could see some appetite. And if you're a sports store, or you sell sports equipment, or you do something around, it has anything to do with soccer, or you carve lemon or orange slices for your kids' soccer games, you are relevant to the soccer conversation. Right. I don't know. I'm just thinking here. But the World Cup's big business. We're going to be watching over the next 4 weeks. We'll analyze what they do each week. We'd love to see it. Because I'm going to jump in. Question of the week this week.
Question of the week right now.
What's the best thing that you're seeing in the World Cup of how an advertiser is using social media to jump into the conversation, what's going on with the World Cup? So I want to see, you tell us, and we'll put it on the Informe show, and we'll talk about it.
And we'll come with our answer next week too. And we'll be ready to say, this is what we see this
week. And the World Cup, awesome. It goes on for 3 weeks, so we'll be able to watch it for the next 4 weeks of shows. We'll be able to start reporting and see what we see and jump on, and Mashable will keep track for us, and we'll just get.
I'm going to go out on a huge limb here and guess that Coca-Cola is going to be huge, and they're going to go cultural diversity.
Wow.
For the FIFA World Cup.
Bold move. You've heard it right now.
I stepped out on a branch, not a limb. It was a branch, very stable. Coca-Cola is going to do that.
Very likely. So it's going to be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I hope. If you guys are watching, interact with us at Salcha, at Dustin Hickle, at NK Manahan, if you're using Twitter. I don't dive into Facebook all that much, but I know people will use Facebook and do that. All right, next story. Yes. Let's talk, because as we're talking about how you're marketing yourself, this has become the trend. And it's happened from the beginning of time. We're going to give a certain amount of money to charity, and cause marketing is what it's now termed. Right. When, as a business, I market myself by the causes I'm supporting or the good that I'm doing. Mm-hmm. And Ad Age ran an article this week, I think it's June 6th, so just a few days ago, talking about, is this a good bandwagon to jump in? Because everyone's jumping onto it. The big players were Tom's shoes. That's always the poster child. The buy one, give one concept. You give us, you buy one of our shoes, we're going to give one to someone who is in need. And others have jumped into that buy one, give one. Warby Parker does it with eyeglasses. Several other companies. But it's not just that. It starts with here's my cheeseburger, and I'll give 5 cents to the local food clinic, or not food bank. Thank you. So is it a good idea? Is it overdone? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, my thoughts are the fact that it's a bandwagon makes me nervous.
Yeah.
The fact that people are feeling like they can jump onto this and can just reap the benefits of it makes me nervous about it. I think the idea and the concept is so great, and especially if you're really, truly trying to go out there and make a difference. If that's your heart, if that's your passion, if that's what your goal is, to make a difference in someone else's life, awesome. Power to you. Go do it. Because that's what it's all about. It's about that authenticity. If you're just like, everybody else is doing it, so I'm going to do it because it might drive my sales up by a little bit next month.
Yeah.
That's not, to me, that's the baseline is like, yes, you're going to get something out of it, but I really want it to be genuine. That's, for me, it gets scary when it becomes superficial and it's a bandwagon and we're just trying to make more profit. And there's nothing wrong with doing something good for somebody else and you getting the benefit. Don't hear me saying that. But if it's not genuine, people are going to know.
Yeah. And we'll talk about this, but marketers are having a hard time figuring out how to give authenticity out there and how to be seen as, yeah, we actually believe in this cause. And I wonder if some of that starts with, instead of starting out with, this is what we're doing and promoting the good you're doing, just do the good. And then eventually it'll show up in your marketing.
Yeah, totally.
It'll show it out in your messaging. And sometimes you can use your voice as a pulpit and get out there and say, hey, let's all do this together and rally behind a cause. But then sometimes you just need to take care of the cause and do it all in the quietness of your day.
Yeah.
And you're not saying, hey, look at us. You're just doing it.
Yeah, get your employees on board or whatever it is and just go out and do something. You know, the best form of marketing you can have is someone speaking positively about you, is having that positive word of mouth. And if you're small business, you're 6 employees, whatever it is, you guys shut down for a day or take an evening or whatever it is, something doesn't even have to be that drastic. But the team gets together and goes out and just pours everything they've got into a cause and then just goes back to work the next day. First of all, you're going to feel better. You're going to feel better afterwards. The people themselves are going to feel better because volunteering just does that for you. Yeah. It's uplifting. It's great to know that you've done something and make a difference for somebody. But then on top of that, you get that sort of, man, that company, from this, maybe it's a nonprofit organization, man, that company, Paypro Media, Salcha, whatever it is, they invested time in us. Right. And we loved that. And maybe that company will never be able to afford your products or services, but the fact of the matter is you made an impact in someone's life, and that's a bigger picture. And for your benefit's sake, maybe they'll walk to their friend and someone's like, man, I'm looking for some marketing. Yeah. And they say to their friends, hey, that company came and did this for us. It was really sweet. I'd love for you to at least give them the chance because they really impacted my life. And it impacted my life because they were authentic. And you can't fake authenticity. You just can't. No matter how hard you try, eventually it'll come back and people will know that the things you're saying aren't actually what you believe. Yeah. And so I like how this ends because this Ad Age was saying one of the key questions we asked about cause marketing is, are we due for a backlash as consumers fatigue of all the cause marketing out there? And they said, to our surprise, despite complaints, we learned that consumers continue to be receptive to cause marketing. But this is their caveat at the end. They're just better at filtering out and ignoring the messages that don't appeal to them. And I think Ad Age was expecting that there's going to be a backlash. And there may still be. And I think what will happen is there will be a backlash if people continue time after time finding out it's not authentic, it's not real, and you're not actually doing it because you care. You're doing it just because you want our money or you want our service or whatever you want from us. A lot of times now the cause is created by the marketing agency. And our next article that we're going to look at is how marketing agencies and marketers are having a hard time redefining themselves and who they are, because things are changing quickly, and we struggle with this at Paypro Media. We struggle because we're having to figure out, what do we do as a consultant? What do we do as marketers, as ad agencies, come alongside the businesses we're working with and help them and actually give value and be effective at it versus what they should be bringing in-house. And thoughts on this as you're reading about marketers are struggling to reinvent themselves? Yeah, I think this obviously ties back to what we were just talking about, in that there's always something new out there. There's always something that is the hot trend, that's the thing to do. And it's so easy for a marketer to just jump on the bandwagon and say, man, inbound marketing, that is the thing right now. We're going to jump on that bandwagon. Man, cause marketing, that is the thing right now. We're going to jump onto that. And I think at the core of the issue is marketers not necessarily identifying themselves as just that. The philosophy for us at Paypro Media, we want to come alongside any of our clients and say, we are going to learn about you. We're going to just get as in depth and as into your business as we can, so that we can share with your voice, with your passion, and basically become your marketing department, or even if we're just doing consulting, we want to have that sort of that feel and that passion behind everything we do. Not just, here's a strategy, go try it. It's like, no, this is going to work for your business for these reasons, and because you succeed in these already, or whatever it is. So I don't know if the term being a marketer is hard for me anyways, because if you're a marketer, you've already pigeonholed yourself and are not necessarily, sometimes, not all the time. This is not I guess not a blanket statement, but a lot of people who consider themselves to be marketers have a strategy or a few strategies that they're really, really good at and they know have worked in the past, and really struggle to come up and like catch up with new ideas or try something new or get outside the box. And I think that's why you find people struggling to reinvent themselves, because you get pigeonholed into these strategies that have worked for so long.
Well, and I think what's happening now is more and more the authenticity level of things is important. And as much as we try, outsiders can't give authentic voices from the inside of businesses.
Sure.
And so we try to pigeonhole or shoehorn ourselves in there and say, let's figure out a way to do it. And so we'll do these services. And then eventually these companies come back and saying, you're not doing as good a job as we could do, so we just bring this all in-house.
Totally.
And so we have to figure out, how do we add value and make it so we can work, because it's always been, the Mad Men concept. You come to us, we'll pitch this great idea, we'll put this ad campaign together, we'll launch it, and then we'll go move on to the next one.
Right.
And now that doesn't work. It's so much. There's so many more, little things and channels. The omni-channel content presence. This article is talking about that. It's like Apple. Have you seen this? That Apple's now bringing more and more of their videos and their advertising in-house, and they're still working and still under contract with some of their long-standing companies that have been doing their ads. But apparently their latest ads that are rolling, which are some really good ones, were all done in-house.
Wow.
It's
hard to capture that voice.
Yeah. And I think there's an ebb and flow. And I think what happens for marketers is we need to provide value when you need a new idea, when you need a fresh voice, when you're stuck on the inside. Because it's the best if you can get it from the inside, but sometimes you just need some help.
Yep.
And as marketers, we're here to come alongside you, to give you a push, to bring those ideas out, to tell you, hey, what you're doing is not actually working, let's come up with a new idea, and you tell us vice versa. Sometimes what we're doing is not working.
Yeah.
And it's all changing drastically.
Yeah.
Adobe's recent digital roadblock study highlighted marketers struggle to reinvent themselves, and it said 40% of those surveyed stated that they wanted to reinvent themselves, but only 14% said they know how to achieve this. And here's a question. If you're a small business and you're thinking of hiring a third party, which we encourage, it's certainly a time. There are times to do it and times not to. And it's individual. It's not a one size fits all.
Absolutely.
But you should ask this of your company. How are you reinventing? How are you staying on top of it? How are you changing? And how do you know what's going to be effective 5 years from now? How are you going to make sure that you're ready for that?
Yep.
And if they don't have a way, they say, I want to change. I want to know how to use Snapchat. I want to know how to use Slingshot, the new Facebook thing that came out this week. I want to know that, but I have no idea how I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
That should be a red flag to you.
Absolutely. So great questions for you to actually take when you're starting to look into that. Heed his advice. Very intelligent guy. I'm just going to put that out there. So we were going to talk about Slingshot. You brought it up there, and I do want to briefly mention that.
We didn't put it in our rundown.
We didn't put it in our rundown, but what the heck happened? I don't know if you guys heard about this, but Slingshot is Facebook's competitor to Snapchat.
And Facebook continues to roll out things that are individual apps just for, that are separate. And this one came out in non-US markets and showed up out of nowhere. Though it's been rumored for a while that they're working on something, and it actually showed up. People were able to download it. We weren't one of them, but some people were able to use it, and they were actually able to test it.
Yeah.
But then it was suddenly pulled off the stores. Was it an accident?
Facebook kind of made it sound like it was an accident. They issued a statement saying, we pulled it. It was kind of an accident, sort of a feel and sound to it.
Yeah.
But we're trying to make it the best product ever. You made an interesting statement on it that they put it out there accidentally. They either put it out there accidentally for people to try, download, and give feedback for a quick, short blip. People who are really on top of it, who are really on top of the tech world and want to get into those apps first, the early adopters, get their feedback and then improve it and then make a big launch. Or someone just got fired.
Yeah, it just doesn't. I'm reading some articles around. I went to Huffington Post. I've read TechCrunch. It makes no sense to me how a company this size could accidentally put an app in the App Store.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense to me. And that a company that's U.S. based accidentally does it in non-U.S. based. Their first things, it's fuzzy to me. Now, here's what Facebook is looking to try to drive relevance. And we will be able to know, because my prediction is that this was not an accident.
Yeah.
At some point, the story will come out. It may be months, but it just doesn't feel like an accident. I'll read some more. It just happened, yesterday?
Yeah.
I haven't read all the articles. The first article is because they came out and said it was an accident. And it's just, I'm like, really? How does that?
Hard to believe.
Somebody, if you're those who are smarter out there than me, tell me how it becomes an accident that you accidentally put it in the Play stores.
Yeah.
Because the fact is, you have to submit it and get it approved, and then the downloads start happening, and there's several steps to that, and you don't just accidentally do all those steps if you weren't planning on it.
Yeah.
You know, I don't.
So seemed a little bit weird. We will keep you guys up to date on Slingshot and its use cases for business and small businesses too, just like we do with everything else. But really interesting little happening there. I'm going to take us to the infographic of the week. This one, again, I didn't even know this was by Irfan Ahmad this time, by Digital Information World. His infographics appeal to me, and I always end up finding them no matter where I find them.
Yep.
This time we found it on Pinterest. This is the Hero social media checklist. Take it with a grain of salt. There are nine different social networks on this infographic, each one of them with a checkbox list of things to do. It looks like each day or each week based on the individual network. It gives you a really good starting point.
It gives you a good starting point. It's a little overwhelming, and that's why you choose which platforms you're on. And you should not be on all 9 out of the block in your first week and saying, "Hey, I'm a small business and we're jumping out of the cannon." Because my word, would you burn out quickly? Because I'm looking at this like blogger outreach, lower left-hand corner for 1,000. Alex, okay, no. Blog outreach says write 1 blog per post per day. I'm like, that's a lot of overwhelming to start out with. Reach out to community bloggers and comment on 2 to 3 blogs per day. Look for 1 new blog. These are all great things and eventually can be done. And when you have a full-time person doing this, or you've hired a company, this maybe is a good scale. Which of these things is your company that's helping you run your social media and get your voice out there? What are they doing these things? It's a good checklist.
Absolutely.
But it's a little over, every day I'm going to add 5 new people to your circles on Google+. Now, are there any ones on here that you go, yes, this is absolutely something, or I've never thought of it, or wow, I would not do it that way? Anything that grabbed you?
Yeah, let me take a look. I mean, nothing really jumped out at me. Everything here seemed really pretty basic. I don't know that you'd necessarily need to create a new pin board on Pinterest every week and then tweet about it. If you don't have any new, like real relevant content to add to a new pin board, you're just, why would you create one if it's not going to be relevant or it's not going to be full and consistently in use? Foursquare, I thought was interesting that this was on the list. Checking into your office every day and encouraging everybody else to do that too, just kind of spread the word. And that makes perfect sense. If you're going to be on Foursquare, you have to lead the charge. Yeah, I don't know. It's really Reddit was the one that stood out to me because I'm not a Redditor. I mean, that's basically a blogging site, more or less. Blogging crossed with images, crossed with it's response and forum kind of a weird thing.
It's a capability to vote up and vote down.
Right.
And to surface the newest and best content in certain fields. So if you create a subreddit just on your underwater basket weaving, and so then you would know which are the best articles just on underwater basket weaving. You love my choices.
I love when you come up with stuff. It's great.
You never know what I'm going to do there.
There's probably a huge market for that, so you should just start making underwater baskets.
You just never know. I mean, you have to get the whole snorkel equipment and the right eye protection in order to do that. But you get a tighter weave when you get underwater there. So you do. I have no idea. Maybe it's a thing. I've heard it before. It wasn't original to me. I've heard other people use that phrase. Okay. But yeah, Reddit, perform AMAV interviews when applicable. That's interesting. Ask me anything. I always see celebrities do that. I don't, and I followed several of them. But can I just go out and do an AMA?
You have to have a pretty good following.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't have a following, nobody's going to ask you a question.
Yeah.
And if you don't have authority established in your field, then still probably no one's going to ask you a question. So, but yeah, this is really great. If you've determined, like, I want to be on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and Google Plus and LinkedIn, 5 of them. You get the T right in the middle. It's a good way for you to get started. Find out what works. If these checkboxes work and every single week you're seeing great results, tell us. If you're like, this one sucks and you crossed it out and you added something yourself that's working, tell us that too. We want to be sure that we're sharing the best information with you and with the rest of our viewers that we've got. So we want to have that conversation with you. A really good starting point, a nice infographic. And
I think as we end up this show today, let us help you do that. You need to follow people on each one of these on different, go follow Salcha, go follow Paper Media, go follow me, Dustin Hickle. I'm on Twitter and Google+.
Geez, who else could they
You
follow?
can follow me at NK Manahan. You can follow Indiana Marketing.
Indiana Marketing.
That's something
That's
you
a
can
big
search
one.
that on Twitter, and you can find that out. There's a source for understanding marketing and
Yep.
focusing on the state of Indiana, but obviously applicable in other places. We're not just Indiana's not that weird of a place. We're a little weird here, but
We are weird.
There are things that are applicable here
But
in other places.
get out there and follow us and have some conversations. We're
Yeah.
excited about that.
So all this this week, and we said it at the end of the show, if you give us our secret word, and I'm going to have Dustin in a second give us our secret
Okay.
word, so he's got to come up with that.
I've got it.
I've got a $10 Amazon gift card that I'm giving you the first person to tweet either at Dustin, myself, or at Salcha. You can do, if you do all three, you're not going to get a $30 gift card. Just it's one $10.
Just one.
First one, we're going to see a competition, who gets there, and they have to tweet the word to us.
The secret word is llama.
Llama, 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 llama.
Llama, llama, duck.
All right, so the secret word is llama. We'd love to interact with you. Also, interact with us. Tell us what's going on in the World Cup. What's your favorite use of social media with all the advertisers, all the stuff that's going on. Tell us what you're doing with the World Cup. If you're doing something, engage with us. That's our question of the week. Always wanting you to interact with us, engage with us. We'd love to hear from you. So this has been another Informe. Hope to see you next time.